Yo, what's going on, pre-Chiro students? This is Dr. Ben again with another interesting conversation to have with a current chiropractic student. I was going to introduce you as Aviant Redz, but it looks like your name is Errol, future doctor to be. Can you just introduce yourself and kind of let us know what brought you to chiropractic? How'd you decide to become a chiropractor?
What's up, y'all? My name is Errol. I'm a 11th quarter DC student at Life University. Um, I guess I have. Everybody said they have an interesting story, but mine, I guess, is something to talk about. Um, I I actually like kind of come. I come from a family of chiropractors. Like my uncle was a chiro, and my cousin, his son, is a chiro and a physical therapist. That kind of made me not like want to do it. Like growing up, everybody's like, "Yeah, you should do this, you should do that." And I'm just kind of rebellious in my own way. I'm like, "Nah, like that's whack. Like, why would I do?" You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But so as I was going to school, I was kind of the student that like I got things easy, but that made me not want to do it either. I just didn't want to do a lot of things. So when I got to school, I was kind of doing like I was in honors classes and AP classes, but like I was just like doing bare minimum. Like if a B, my B would be like a double A, and the C would be an A, or you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
cool. So I was
Yeah.
gonna get my B, and I was gonna get the C. So as as that's happening, I was in a class. I was in anatomy and physiology. So all throughout high school, like I'm kind of just barely. I'm doing the bare. You know what I'm saying? Bare minimum. Um, I got to anatomy and physiology my senior year, and this teacher blew my mind. Like the human body was super interesting. She made it interesting. She made me. I don't even like think like I can't remember a time where I took notes in high school. I would just kind of grind and somehow pass the test and get a B or whatever. Um, she was like the first time I can recall like taking notes like in color and color coding and going home and studying for real. Um, and she would like drop these gems. I remember one time she was talking about like the human body and a fever, and like how fever reducer isn't important up to a certain point. You know what I'm saying? Like if you have a 100 fever, you should probably just stick out that 100 fever and see what your body does. So she was dropping like little vitalism gems. I didn't know anything about vitalism to catch it, but looking back, I can catch it. Uh, and then like one day she came in and she was like, yeah, like she's a chiropractor. She told us she was a chiropractor. And I thought that was cool just because like my uncle was a chiropractor, but like it didn't like wow me. I was just like, oh cool, like there's another one here. And I guess when you become a chiro, you can teach A&P in like colleges and high schools. She actually went to Life University too. I just thought that was cool, and I let that pass. And then I get into college, and I'm just trying to find out what I want to do. Um, I'm taking general classes, and I'm like maybe I want to do like radiology, maybe I want to do PT. I know I want to do something with the human body. Um, and I think I'm just driving one day. My uncle ends up passing, and probably like some months after that, like 6 months after that, I'm just driving one day, and I said I'm going, like literally just like that. I was like I'm going, like it just makes sense. Like it made sense. Like the first person to get me to like apply myself again in school was a chiro. My uncle, my cousin, our chiro. Like I've seen it, and it just made sense to me. Like it wasn't like a
Mm-hmm.
oh, think about it. I was driving and it hit me, and I said I'm going.
Mm-hmm. I think you mentioned a couple of things that I just would love for you to kind of touch on, which is like kind of being a disengaged student in high school and how school in general, people say, school's not for me. I'm not going to go the school route. I'm gonna do something else. I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. I'm gonna figure out my own path. But can you talk about like what kept you in school and why'd you go to college and then why'd you go to become a doctor and just staying in school and staying in that academic environment for so long. I think it's fun to look back and say, what was it that kept me in school? I'm just curious for you, what
Yeah.
was it?
Wasn't myself. um, my parents, I don't think they ever went to uh school like after high school. My mom, she owns a hair salon, and my father was doing a lot of like real estate and contracting. He had like a landscaping business as well. But they never went to like a secondary school. Um, and I think as far as my mom, she wanted to be a nurse. And then, she had the hair salon and then like kids, so it kind of stopped. She had a business she had to run and she had children she had to raise, so that stopped any like there was no time for school.
Hmm.
Um, and I I kind of think that's why she was like harder on us when it came to school because that was really the only option for us. Like it was like you're either going to school or you're getting out of my house. Like that's it. Like if you go to school, you can stay here. But if you're out of school, then what are you doing? And it wasn't school, it was a trade, it was anything. Like you have to do something or you have to get out of my house. Um and I wasn't about to pick up plumbing or be an electrician. Like I, I didn't like any of that stuff. So I think it was her that it was that I needed a place to stay. So
Hmm. Hmm. It
I went.
sounded like having two parents that were both entrepreneurs was also kind of a seed that was planted that maybe you discovered later on that chiropractors actually own their own business or start their own company. Um, can you talk about like just seeing the environment that your mom worked in and just being in her hair salon and seeing how she created a bit of a community in there and seeing that parallel with chiropractic? Can you kind of like draw some parallels between what it's like to be maybe a barber or somebody in a hair salon and being a chiropractor?
For sure. Um, yeah. So my my grandma actually like opened up the hair salon. Um, and she had my mom and my aunt in there working. And a couple like other family members who worked there, but my mom and my aunt were like the main ones in there, and it's still open to this day. Um, so she the whole community would come in. I mean, Saturdays, Sundays, it was booming. Growing up, I would go there, as a kid, probably help fold towels or sweep the floor or something. And I mean, packed, loud. Uh, Other people, like businesses would come in, we had a jeweler that would come in and sell his jewelry, people that made juice and cakes and cookies or whatever, you know what I'm saying? It was just like a place of commerce. Um, People would talk and through talking, oh yeah, no, I know a landscaping guy, he can help you with that, or I know a roofer, or I know an interior decorator. Like it was just a place of like of community and trade, um, and like heavy on the community. Like I have cousins that aren't actually my cousins, but like their moms just came to the salon for however 20 years, 30 years, and like we grew up together. You know what I'm saying in the salon.
Hmm.
Um, my grandmother actually, the money she was getting from the salon, she gave it to my uncle to start his practice, right? So that's the first connection right there between the hair salon and chiropractic. Um, and it was the same thing. So when I would be in his office, it would be a lot of people there, maybe not as loud, you know what I'm saying? Not as fun, but it would be a lot of people there, and his patients for sure like loved him the same way like people would bring my mom. Sometimes people would bring my mom fruits and cakes and whatever, like it would be the same thing for him. Like, hey, my garden gave us tomatoes this month, and then they would give him tomatoes and give him, you know what I'm saying? It would just be
Mm-hmm.
a place of
Mm-hmm.
trade and a place of
Mm-hmm.
community. Um, so I know when my grandmother ended up passing, her funeral was huge. Like, whole community was out there. People I've never even seen in my life. You know what I'm saying? From like it was just a huge thing. Uh, when my uncle ended up passing, huge funeral. Just the same thing, just pillars. These are like, I don't think people understand, like, when you're something like that, a barber, a hair salon, stylist, or a doctor, chiropractor, dentist, whatever. When you're these things, you are a pillar in your community. You are like the meeting point for a lot of things and a lot of people. Um, and I guess maybe there's no way to fathom that. You know what I'm saying? Because we're all human. We just, people just come to me to get their hair done. People just come to me to get adjusted and see about their health. It's kind of like, it's something that people do. But I don't know if people really can fathom and understand. And maybe it's not for them to understand, like maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
great that we just don't know how important we are. Maybe we have an idea, but we just don't know exactly how important we are. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's healthy. Maybe we don't never need to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I just asked because me growing up in a barber shop, my best friend was a barber, and just being in a barber shop, feeling the community vibe, being in the culture, having conversations that were meaningful. I bring that same energy with me to the office every time I
Mm-hmm.
go in. And I
Mm-hmm.
really look at it like very similar, like cousins or brothers and sisters in regards to professions of being a barber or being in a hair salon, being a stylist, and being a chiropractor. Like, our job is to make people's lives better. We enhance lives. We're
Yep.
entrepreneurs that enhance lives. We're life enhancing entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't realize, like you said, how much of a pillar in the community you become when you're a chiropractor, because you are inviting anybody, and whoever shows up gets an experience and wants to share it with the next person. Just like going to get a haircut and feeling like you were taken care of like family, you go get adjusted and you were taken care of like family, you're going to share it. So that's been my experience of just bringing that energy. And I just want people to know that those parallels are there of, like, if you grew up with that admiration of that chiropractor or that hairstylist, like, you could be that person, but just in a different context.
Sure.
So, transition, talking about life at Life University, being a chiropractic student, your involvement in the student body, your involvement with SABCA. Can you just kind of talk about what you've been called to do as a student with your background, and like what you're particularly interested in, like given your specific interests and like your specific skills, like where are you taking it and how have you used school to take it there?
Yeah. So recently, I became the SAPCA president. Um, and I guess it was kind of like a natural thing. Like, it's definitely not something that, like, I jumped out and said, I'm gonna do this. People were texting me like, hey, like, you know, there's a new SAPCA, a new position. Like, I think you should take it. Like, you should definitely take it. So I'm like, like, I guess because when I thought back to, like, me and SAPCA, like, I would make sure, like, SAPCA was a priority as a student. Like, I would make sure I would go if it was, a conference or whatever. Like, I would go, or if there's something that I can do, like, hey, I got this doctor that wants to kind of come through and show us some stuff or whatever. Like, I would kind of put that in line. So I'm like, I don't know. I didn't see anybody at the time that would do a better job. But I just felt like I was right for the position. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know anybody that was more right than me. Um and and then I joined, and I'm like, I had some things in mind. Like, I know a lot of times, like, we have an issue um getting people, like, in the outpatient clinic where you have to get, like, your own patients and stuff. I was like, one of the things that I wanted to put in place was getting us out to, like, health fairs and um, connecting with people so that way people can have like they can get the marketing side of it, and they can get the numbers for clinic, and they can get the communication side of everything. Um, then COVID happened, and that kind of like shut that idea down. Um, but what we've been able to do, we've set up a system where we talk, we talk about like financials, we talk about some of the legal stuff, and then we talk about technique and different 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 avenues into chiropractic. Like when we bring doctors to speak, it's not the same person that's in the office that does, full spine and Thompson and diversify. Like we're not gonna bring 5 people that do the same thing. And we're also not gonna bring the person you heard speak 5 times already. We just try to bring different people that are mobile, people that we have there's we have people that are chiropractors that like don't necessarily practice within chiropractic, but still practice that still like do stuff involving the nervous system. Um, uh, like there's this one chiropractor I know, like he's there when they do surgeries, and he's like making sure that the nervous system works. I don't know what exactly the term is for that, but I just thought that was cool. Like who knew? You know what I'm saying? You can take that your knowledge from chiropractic and then go there with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to give people as much. Anytime I see a cool experience within chiropractic, I try to bring it to the student body, um, and I try to. I like to make sure that we look good as well. Like that's another one of my things. Like I just want us to, like our shirts. I want them to just look cool. Like I want us to just look cool. All the other clubs everywhere look cool when they come through and they got their polos and stuff like that. And I think look good, feel good, practice better. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
so that's like kind of like my main goals. Community service as well. We had I think February, I want to say, was it 12th or 14th? It was like National Black HIV Awareness Day. So we had an HIV testing truck come through, and we got maybe like 30 people tested. Wish we could have got more. Wish we could have got the whole campus. You know what I'm saying? But I know we showed up for that. Like the sample student body showed up for that. Um, we did like some toy drives. We just it's community service, it's knowledge, and then it's fun and looking good. That's how I break it down.
Mm-hmm. How would you kind of describe like what it's like to be maybe a black chiropractic student, and how that might be different, or how being involved in SABCA brings you joy or makes you feel like you in community? Like, is the demographic diverse in the student body? And if so, like, does it cater to the needs of somebody who's coming in who's really wanting to identify with their fellow classmates or their teachers or the faculty? Obviously, it's going to be unique depending on what school you go to. But just speaking from your experience, what have you appreciated about entering into that environment?
Um, the student body, is it diverse? Yes and no. There's I know when I came into the program, there was like 20 of us. It was like it was a class of 100 students. Um, maybe 20 black students, um, and then the rest was split probably down the middle between like Puerto Rican and white. Um, would we call that diverse? I don't know. Maybe not. Um, I know that for me it was it was a little strange to get like acquainted with or get adjusted to my class because when you have I just noticed like there's a thing about being black that like makes you invisible almost. Um, and you would have conversations with, your classmates, Puerto Rican or white, and then like the next day you see them and say hi, and they kind of just like walk past you, and you're like, okay. Like I thought, I thought it was cool, but I guess not. Um, and I'm not the type that's gonna like. I'm not about to reach out. You know what I'm saying? After that, it's kind of like, yo, it's just manners to me. Um, but they would do that a lot, and it kind of. I remember I had a conversation with my uncle, a chiropractor, and we were driving, and he saw a billboard, and I guess it was, I don't know if it was like a white lawyer or a white chiropractor, um, but he was driving, and he kind of said it in jest. And he was like, he looked at me, and he was like, you know what? If I can wake up tomorrow, um, and be with God, and God said, listen, you have, knowing everything you know, you had a choice to be a white man, and you had a choice to be a black man. I would be a white man. It's just much easier. Like, why? Why would I put myself, knowing everything I know? Why would I put myself through all the things that we go through being black if I could just be white and then, what I'm saying, live my life and not have to worry about anything? And I was a little offended at first. I was like, what does that even mean? But like, I understand now. So going back to school now, I had to figure out like, okay, like these are the people that we need to network with, right? Because some of them have resources and things that we just don't have. Some of them come from chiropractic already. Some of them are already knowing how to do these things. You know what I'm saying? They have their parents, their dad or mom might have taught them how to adjust already coming into school. Something like that. So they have these resources that we don't have, which is kind of the story all across the nation, right? Like they have the money we don't have, they have the food that we don't have, they have the whatever it is, they have the everything that we don't have, and we need to shake these hands and touch these hands to get these things. But how can I shake these hands, and how can I network, and how can I, build friendships, relationships, whatever, if I have a conversation and then they ignore me when they see me. You know what I'm saying? It was just really weird. And they kind of stay away from, people would say that like I wasn't like I can cook, I wasn't like as black as, what I'm saying, the other, whether it's cuz like I'm not like, the stereotype, like the loud spoken or the whatever, like my speech, like I don't have like an accent, you know what I'm saying? So like I'm more, they can tolerate me or handle me, I guess, better than, the other black students. So which is kind of messed up. Like that's definitely some racism. Um, but it kind of allowed me to get into these circles. Now, granted, I wasn't changing who I was. Like who I was who I am. If I'm gonna speak, I speak the way I speak. I talk the way I talk. I make the jokes I make. You get them or you don't. But I guess that kind of made it a little easier for me to get into these circles and like make friends outside of like the the black students that were there, because we would go to these labs or whatever, and there would be 2 or 4 black people, and now it's kind of different because we all know each other. But like in the beginning, it would be 4 black students in the corner, or you go to a club and it's 4 black students in the corner. Like we I don't know if it's by nature, by choice, or what, but we stay over here and they're over here, and that's how it was for a long time. And you had a couple people that would like be able to branch off into these circles, um, and what that taught me though is that sports is the biggest connector of anything. Like if you want to relate to anybody, you want to network with anybody, know something about a sport, and that is how you connect with them. No, regardless of race, sex, sexuality, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Know something about a sport, and you're in there. So, so I got a little a networking tip. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of going through school. But yeah, as far as diversity, it was just weird because I guess like the numbers were there, like it matched with like the actual because what the black population is 13%. We were 20% of the class, so like we were there, but again, it's like we're over in this circle, or we're on this side of the room, and they're like on that side of the room. It was just yeah.
Copy. Nah, it's interesting, like just monologue that you just went through of like the psychology of what it's like. And not that I could ever, put myself in those shoes, but being a chiropractor for the last 8 years in my community and introducing myself as a chiropractor to people at the gym or out and about in the community at the supermarket or wherever I'm at, there's automatically like this kind of underlying or invisible tension or divide or just a lack of ability to connect or not knowing how to connect with me, seeing me as different than them immediately. Like, oh, you're a chiropractor? I don't know what that is. And they make a comment out the side of their mouth that they think that they know what it is and they're going to just categorize me or characterize me. And I just, growing up in the community I grew up in, I was one of the few in my circle that weren't black. And so I got real comfortable not looking like or sounding exactly like the people around me. And it didn't matter to me when I was a chiropractor that people would act that way towards me. I wouldn't even get frustrated because I already kind of had life experience that trained me to not get attached to people's acceptance of me or interest and relation to me. But I just think that it's really interesting to hear from your perspective what it's like to go into one of these chiropractic schools, which actually is probably one of the most diverse schools, if we can even say that. Is one of the most diverse schools, is known to be one of the most diverse schools, and have that type of an experience. And I kind of know what you say. I know exactly what you're talking about because I always am that dude, the white dude who comes into the circle of people that are mostly all black that are hanging out on their own or doing their own thing and make myself present. I want my presence felt. I want to vibe with that community just because I don't see it as being different, but at the same time, I feel like this project, the energy behind it is really like we need to actually go out into the black community. And it's funny me saying this, but we need to be there where they at, showing that we care, that we give a fuck. If we don't show that we care, that narrative that you just described, I think is going to continue. And I think that you being in the position of power that you're in right now within the student body and specifically the club that you're in, you have that power to really set up a system, as you said, to change that or to make there be like little procedures like, hey, like we're gonna go out and we're gonna show that we actually care about those young incoming black chiropractic students and like bring them in
Yeah.
and put them on game with what you just described. And maybe that continues and perpetuates what's been going on because it's not really necessarily got to come from them. It's got to come from the other side, or maybe there needs to be a dialogue established. But I just appreciate you sharing because I think that is relevant to the energy behind this project because we're tapping into like the pre-chiro students before chiropractic school and saying, how can we build a culture or set the tone for what's to come in the upcoming years for a chiropractic student experience? So if we're pushing the culture forward, what are some things that you think we could touch on or that we could train people on that would maybe bring people to a more common ground or to more mutual respect, just given your understanding and experience on this planet?
Um, I, I kind of don't. I honestly don't know. Like, I don't know how you train people to get rid of like whatever whatever like whatever they've been taught, whatever they've been like, whatever they're still holding on to. Like I don't know how to train somebody to like unpack that and then pack in something new. You know what I'm saying? Like it's uh, just me meet some black people. You know, like find some that we're out there and we're cool and like we whatever you think about us, you're wrong. I don't. Yeah,
Nah,
that's
this is great advice. And if I'm a young, maybe student that doesn't have experience being around black people, maybe I'm coming from an area or community that doesn't really have any diversity, I think that your words right now matter. So that's why, even if it's uncomfortable or even if it's pie in the sky and it doesn't seem realistic to you, I think it's good to kind of shout out
yeah.
what you think could be possible, or, you know.
Yeah, like it's as simple as that. It's just meeting so because whatever you have is just based on whatever these like these stereotypes or these prejudices that you have. It's based on nothing if you don't know us, you know, like or maybe they are. Let's entertain it and let's say they are based on something where some of them are true. There's a reason behind all of that. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that it's different than you know what they have going on, and whether they say, "Oh, we're loud," or "Our music is loud," or "Our music is raunchy," or whatever. Like, okay, like punk and rock is loud. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's spirit. It's adjustments can be loud. I don't understand what is wrong with loud. You know, like I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. But yeah, just meet some black people, man. Hang out with us. We're cool.
No doubt. And then just maybe speaking to that student that's in high school or college that is maybe the first one to go to college in their family and does come from a black community. Can you talk about like maybe the importance of becoming a chiropractor and what that could mean for their community?
Yeah. Um, I know that some people are like the lighthouse for their family. Like my son or my daughter is going to be the first doctor, the first anything. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that I go to school with that are from like small towns. You know, like no concerts are ever held there. They've never seen anything other than like their town. You know, type type deal. So going back to a city, to a small town like that, with your knowledge, even if you don't plan to go back, but the fact that like you're from there and then you made something, you know what I'm saying, out of that, um, is a big deal. I know my mom says all the time like how proud of me she is. Um, for the fact that I'm doing this. I'm proud of me. I didn't know I could do this. Like if somebody would have told me I'd be taking 15 classes at a time and passing them all and excelling and becoming a leader here or like becoming just scratch the student the student body thing and president like just a community leader and bringing people together and fostering relationships and all that kind of stuff. I would be like, nah, bro, that's not me. Like, I'm, Uh, so I, it's I can definitely, and that's a lot of our stories. A lot of us are going to be the first anything in our families. You know what I'm saying? Like, um, and it's important. I think that's something we all share. A lot of us, and I'm proud of everybody, man. I really am.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Definitely am.
Do you think we need more black chiropractors, and if so, why?
We need more black everything. We need more black chiropractors because people nobody we care like we care deeper than anyone else can care when it comes to us and that's not saying like a white chiropractor can't care for black patients, but when it comes to the black community as a whole, nobody knows better what black people need as a whole than a black person or a black chiropractor. But a black person in general first. Um, we also need examples, and I kind of hate when people like say that, like, "Oh, we need more examples of success, and we need more because is the barber not successful? Is the hairstylist not successful? Is the pastor, the deacon not successful? Like there's black success everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like the dude that owns the landscaping company, the dude that owns the car wash, like there's black success everywhere. They just might not be doctors, but like there's black success everywhere. But it would be cool. You know what I'm saying? We need here's another avenue. You know what I'm saying? And 1% is just unacceptable. What is it, like 1.2? Maybe it's less than one. Like I don't even remember, but I know it's not 2%. And that's just unacceptable to me when 13% of the nation is black. It should represent that everywhere in every aspect. There should be 13% of real estate investors and agents and uh, homeowners should be black. 13% of everything should be black. Period. I want 20% actually. Like we just need more black everything. Everything.
Now I feel you. If I'm keeping it a buck, I'm really coming from the recognition that black chiropractors, they on a different level, whether you acknowledge it or not. They're on a different level of sort of academic success. Like you just said, you taken 15 classes multiple times, probably over 700 tests. You get hardened by that. You upgrade your expectations of yourself, or not even expectation, but you upgrade what's possible. Like you just said, it stretched your mind to recognize yourself now, almost done with a doctoral program. And now you go back into a community and you just transformed. Like you just put on some body armor. You just became like a lightweight superhero. So that's what I mean of like, we really do have to differentiate that becoming a chiropractor is an amazing thing, especially if you came out the mud, for lack of a better way of putting it. You come out the mud, you become a chiropractor, you go back into your community, you see so much opportunity. Like the lens that a chiropractor sees the world through is like, how can I build bridges? How can I climb mountains? How can I bring people with me on those journeys? And like, there's different levels to this. That's all I'm saying. That's why I wanted you to really touch on like the success that you've seen, and like if that was true for multiple people that are in those clubs with you and you go out into the communities, what's the world going to look like as a result of that? Or how's those communities going to function differently? That's really where I'm coming from. But anyway, I hear you, man. I'm just trying to bring it out of you because I know you're at the end of the program. What's it like to be where you're at in the program right now? You're at the end.
That's my answer. No, but man, it's amazing. I don't know if it's like actually hit me yet, but like I remember hopping into like student clinic and then outpatient clinic. I'm like, wow, like I'm really like in clinic, like doing all these ortho tests and trying to find like a diagnosis and trying to draft a care plan and just doing these things that first quarter, second quarter, I was like, I can't wait. And seeing people walking around in their blue coats, like, oh man, you guys are almost out of here. That's so cool. And like now I'm here. And even when I go into these, I'm on the app, the Clubhouse app, and when I go into the rooms, there's been multiple times where like, I have like student chiropractor in my bio, and then people will be talking about whatever they're talking about, and then they see that in the bio, and the whole conversation like shifts to me, and now they're asking me 1,000 questions a minute, like, "Hey, I have this, I'm doing this, I'm feeling pain with this, or whatever, or like, uh, I read that it can help with this. Can you speak on that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like I can speak on it, I guess." Yeah, I guess so, huh? I guess I'm the guy that's supposed to speak on that. Um, so it's just cool, and the fact that like it's natural. Like when I know when those moments happen, like I'm not like, oh my god, like what am I gonna do? I gotta answer all these questions. I'm just like talking like it's natural, And I've never like when it came to communicating chiropractic, I've I didn't go to like any of the seminars or like I didn't do I'm kind of just like a wing it guy. I know what I know, and I know how to piece it together at the time that I need to, but I can't say that like I practiced any of it, which I probably need to do. There's definitely some benefits in practicing it, but I I just find it cool that I can just kind of throw these things out there, you know, as they come. Um, when I go home, you know, people are like waiting, like, hey, are you home? Like, I need that, you know, like it's been a while. Um, it's just dope. Like I feel like this. I feel like I came here, and when I go back home, I'm going back like a entirely different man. Like you said, like I got body armor, like I got out the mud, I changed here. Like I'm not the same person that I was when I left. Um, and that is amazing to me, for sure, for sure.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, because you've gone back a number of times. You're out in Atlanta right now, but when you get breaks from school, you're back at home in Fort Lauderdale. What's it like to go back to your community? Like, have you been able to provide some experiences for people that they're impressed by or that they're blown away by? What's it been like?
Yeah, so yes. Allegedly though. But so when I go back, it's I remember one of my boys, he was like, yeah, I can breathe like so much better. Like I didn't even know that like I had, you know, I didn't even know that I was functioning wrong. Um, and after, like, I can feel the difference. You know what I'm saying? And that's breathing. People don't put, when you see like a chiropractor, they don't put respiratory issues on the door. They put neck pain, low back pain, and whatever other pain. You know what I'm saying? But respiratory issues, you know, incontinence, constipation, like those aren't the things they tell you about. And I couldn't tell you. I Nobody could tell you. You know, like who I don't know what this is gonna do for you, but it's gonna do something for you. That's my point. You know, what I'm saying? I don't know what your body is going to do, but sit back and enjoy the ride. Like this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be a great time.
Hmm.
And that's kind of the point that I try to get across. And I've definitely had those experiences for sure. I mean, I've had those experiences myself. Um, like I'm kind of just like rambling here, but you know, when people tell like their chiropractic story, as far as like how sometimes when they say like how they got into chiropractic, then they're like, oh, like I had, you know, they throw out like a major disease. I had cancer and it did this. You know what I'm saying, for me or whatever. Bro, I had hiccups. I had hiccups. I would get these hiccups for days at a time, 3 to 4 days at a time. And my cousin one day, he was like, yo, like you've had these hiccups for like 2 days around me. Like, what's going on? And I told him like when I get them, like I get them for like days. Sometimes I get them for a whole week and they don't stop. And he was like, okay, like that could be like your doctor. He put it to my neck and he was like, C3, C4, C5, connects to the phrenic nerve, diaphragm, all that. Gave me that whole rundown. And I was like, oh, okay. So an adjustment, that's what we're talking about here. This is before like chiropractic school or anything. And gave me an adjustment. Um, that day, you know, the hiccups slowed down. The next day they were gone. But I just find it funny how when we talk about like, you know, chiropractic, and they talk about like, oh, there's no research, or there's no this, or there's no that. But when it comes to hiccups, people will bend over backwards drinking water while rubbing their stomach. There's no research on that, but you're doing it. You know, there's no research on hiccups and holding your breath for 30 seconds, but you're doing it. And I I got a chiropractic adjustment and my hiccups went away. Is I, but you get a chiropractic adjustment. That's the point here. Get a chiropractic adjustment. You know what I'm saying? Like, who would have thought that the remedy for hiccups would be a chiropractic adjustment. You can't make I can't make these things up.
Mm, mm. So what's your plans? You about to graduate school. What's life looking like for you in the next 6 months to a year? You got any ideas? You got any intentions that you're setting? Who you want to reach? What you want to do? I remember you telling me that you were an artist before school. You were doing hip hop, R&B. Are you trying to bring that energy back into your life when you get out of school? Or are you gonna kind of combine them? What do you got planned for the future?
For sure. I want to that I know that that's music is just part of me. Um, hip hop, R&B, like that kind of stuff. I always said like if I had no pressures of like, you know, parents or whatever, like I'd be I don't know, an A&R music journalist, an artist myself, something of that nature. So that's definitely something I want to keep in my life. And when I see, um, there's like some chiropractors I know that are like that work these big music festivals, Dreamville Fest or Tortuga or Coachella or you know what I'm saying, and I'm like, okay, like there's a lane for people like me. Um, and it may be in an office or it may not be in an office, but there's definitely a lane for people like me. And it's definitely something I want to explore. Um, I do want to associate when I come out. I guess just for the knowledge of like the in office stuff, but I also think I want to do that just so until like I figure out fully whatever that lane is for me, like as far as whether I want to be mobile or whether I want to work these festivals or whatever it is that whatever it looks like. um that's definitely what I want to do. I, I I find it like music is just so fire. Even I went on a mission trip and there was like these there was I think it was like a side posture. Like my side posture just kind of needed like work, you know, and we were there, and somebody pulled up like playing 50 Cent, and 50 Cent is like my number one favorite rapper of all time. Um, and I just got into this flow, man. Like, and I don't think I haven't missed the side posture since. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was music that kind of that did that to me, um, and put me in that, I guess, a trance. I guess man, music is just so fire, and I want to incorporate it like in my branding, in my everything.
Mm.
Yeah.
Nah, I think that was one of the most interesting things you said all interview right there was how listening to certain type of music puts you in the flow for how you adjust or just got you feeling yourself in a way where it allowed you to, you know, do what you do in the best way that you know how. So I want to thank you for touching on that. Is there any final message that you just want to share to a high school student out there, to a college student out there who's maybe trying to figure out what they want to do with their life and got you as an older brother or as an uncle and you're just trying to put them on game with what you know and just say it in a quick short like message to them?
Um, whatever whatever you think you can't do, you can, and whatever you think you can do, you can do much more. Just jump. Just put yourself through it. Whatever you think is not for you, it's definitely for you. Everything is for you. There's nothing on this world that's not for you if you want it. Um, and that's the biggest advice that I can give. Like I said, like I couldn't, I didn't see myself here a couple years ago. I didn't see. I just said I didn't apply myself in school. So how am I taking 15 classes, or how am I going through a doctorate program? Like, but here I am applying myself. So whatever you think you can't do, you can, and whatever you think you can do, you can do much more. For sure.